Hello, Black people. This is a preview of my song. The song called There's Always Sun in California. Messed up now. There's always sun in California, California, standing where the pretty days roll by. There's always sun in California, listen to this here old song remind. So listen also to the very serious, important videos I did about the World Trade Center attack and specific predicate acts. Also, I noted where and how they've been using the words like pronouns. I never noticed that until after the World Trade Center attack. There are proofs that they did that to cover up what I caught them doing in their sciences. Had sciences been honest, they would have realized that the predicate act is valued to the law the same way, distinctly from, but also non-distinctly from how the predicate is valued to English. To discern, for example, the predicate with English is to discern the main verb. It's to discern a distinct identity relationship to itself that the simultaneous nature as the sentence has, and the value of that being a distinct form of a verb. That's why we need more than one name for a verb. That comes with the hyper-evidential demonstrated to us. For example, why and how we need more than one name for a verb shows us the hyper-simultaneous and the hyper-invisible, distinct from, but also non-distinct from the invisible, but still discernible, such as the parts of speech, such as the subjects that are physical that we bring into the communications. We are discussing hyper-additional nature. English was revealed more probably and demonstrably by the ancients to teach about hyper-additional nature, about the hyper-simultaneous. We could discern the identity of the hyper-simultaneous by the discernment of how the human species is not the only species volume. And the other species, even though they're completely different species, they have two eyes. They have quality aspects in nature that are non-distinct too. And not them or us invented this. And the ancients appreciated this and studied it, and they realized the identity of the hyper-simultaneous, its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that is only increasing simultaneously, equally, from the extent of the hyper-simultaneous that we have, that we could discern. It's like a little cell of your body trying to discern your body's complete identity. It is your body's complete identity, but while it is not simultaneously, but simultaneously anyway it is. And because it is given that increased value and identity as its own. One identity of hyper-simultaneous nature is making more of its volume, which is hyper-invisible but still discernible. And this is more probably and demonstrably how English was revealed to be taught, appreciating how the sciences share an identity. So the predicate of the law is valued to discern hyper-invisible but still discernible criminal insidiousness nature. Now we should have had discerned. Everyone should know clearly, instantly, when they hear the phrase criminal insidiousness, what it is about. But instead of having had the crazy laws, the predicate acts with facts, methods /S laws that the breaching method /S had entrenched in America before our founders were born. Also, it is discernible when people ask questions or answer questions regarding what caused slavery. Other things, others ourselves, are blamed for what caused slavery than what our founders communicated to blame it on. And I'm referring to that portion of our founders behind James Madison and his plan. Them who went and got George Washington to agree to use that plan. And what they do? They had to force the other founders. There were more than 13 colonies. Slavery was entrenched, northern colonies and southern colonies, sickly distinctly, but sickly non-distinctly too. And that was used functionally to keep measured and maintained, not left out, not just then, but now. And all roles with it, because A through Z, from some ancient times, all groupings of humanity missed how there is another group involved, a hyper-archetypal criminal enterprise. This is more probable and is more practical to theorize or convict than some of the theories and convictions that we have formally in place, because campuses A through Z and their difference is roles with this difference racketeering method, worse than war crimes. Know how we have the same color eyes, but we have different color eyes at the same time. And there are exceptions with the exception nature part, the halo of eyes. So, okay, so thank you, people. Please tell Judge Napolitano he's not following mandated law. I want a response from the Wethersfield Police, the State Police, and the FBI Director, former Director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants have wire crimes with the Wethersfield Police and with the FBI and with State Police and with forensics names and with houses increasingly tied to them. They have timed collusions with the same house /S I caught with the principal child abuser, increasingly tied to Alex Jones too. There's an Alex Jones. There was someone interviewing Alex Jones, and he was making conspiracy theories. In other words, and he has roles also with Sandy Hook Promise and people with Sandy Hook campuses, further with the principal child abuser before he was caught. Sandy Hook campuses had roles with that, and with names that used to live on my street, like O'Brien. And there's a Bob Chase who writing forensics who confessed, recorded, demonstrated. There's a Phil Cololo involved with them with federal evidences, crimes, child offenders, sexually, medically, etc. They have overt criminal enterprises, plural, involved with the intelligence community's families. Wethersfield police chiefs retired with the same house, wire crimes with them, falsified police reports, get them on paper, one name and sequence with the courts. Fear God. Apologize to Judge Napolitano. I have to beg him for get him on paper. There's a Napolitano next to the community center. That one of the Joe DeMoros, more than one Joe DeMoro on sides of the community center, have roles with federal evidences crimes, identity theft, fraud, slinger, lying about themselves and others. A Ray Collo and a Joe DeMoro were influenced to pretend things about themselves and me to a girl named, I don't know her first name. Her name was Napolitano next to the community center. And there are other houses near her involved with a Scalora, with a Spada family, with judges and prosecutors, also with other families that were intimately tied with them, Della Fera, who has been planting evidences with them. There are people there's a Robert Reed who lives on Route 3, who came on my campus and on my street and made confessions to me, timing where I was twice. First time I didn't ever talk to him at all. Second time too, I didn't know what. And he said that he made confessions about his roles with some untimely deaths and a woman that was tied to him. Even if he made it up, he has roles with other natures of federal crimes with the police chiefs retired tied to the same house /S and families that answer the phones for the police, who have roles with their cousins also with the World Trade Center attack interstates after they already had intercities and intercampuses predicate acts roles. These are more leaders of the kids, child offenders. And part of it is only because they hide and plot. Get them on one name and paper. Get them on paper with the Wethersfield police chiefs and their sources. They hid the police chief's confessions to me and arrested me before he was caught for obscure pictures or whatever the hell. In other words, I caught him with worse first and untimely death rolls. And there's a Scalora family increasingly involved with people with WFSB, involved with it, with Whiting Forensics. There's a Dr. Laura Sanders. I never met her. She's a nutbag like the rest of the people that worked there with her. But get them on paper because she's been ducking her responsibilities with WFSB. She's been fabricating audio and video with them. She has roles with intelligence next to WFSB and next to Fox Connecticut News. And they have wire crimes with their phones too. I didn't even call WTNH. But they have roles with the FBI next to them with federal evidences, crimes and planting evidences at corners of streets in Wethersfield, including with acting professors. No, they're not legitimately trying to help to look out for unmarked police forms. They're criminally foreign influence with their campuses. A Dean Judd has his kids, and there are people tied to a Dean Alford who intercampuses, intercities planted evidences with names that also planted evidences with their teachers at schools I went. And ones I didn't even have classes with. I never even saw around school Joe Aiello. He has roles with a whole bunch of people tied to a former mayor goal stick fake things in databases, and they have their religious spots involved with child offenders. So fear God, because these are also ones next to the campuses. Like next to Hartford Hospital's campus is Tomorrow's Market. And they have roles with criminal enterprises and people with Aiello's Kitchen next to Buckley High School, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, people involved with UPS not far from there, like the name Oliveri involved. UPS has roles with people that sold drugs through time with the intelligence community. Whether they're allowed to or not, or what that's about, I don't know. But they mix it in with planting evidences with my teachers behind my back. So get them on paper, one name and sequence. Here. And their roles on upstate corrections offices. People with the name Cololo and DeMauro recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. They have roles with names next to the state corrections offices. They don't even know the extent of what they confirmed. They just have federal evidence crimes with them. And there's more leaders of the kids that were roles forcing it, who have roles with a Lance Cuddy with them with that. And the teachers are the people involved with that. They had roles with the police chiefs were involved with home break-ins in my area too through time, and timed use /s of it, and then again. So get them on paper, one name and sequence. I've been asking for a long time. They attached me to fake conversations with doctors who forged other doctors' names. One's called Leahy. In other words, a whole bunch and people with the name Lombardo. They have one guy scream out things, then she pretended I was the one who screamed it out. In other words, they do all kinds of tricks at Hartford Hospital. Has a whole bunch of people involved with drugs and medicines crimes, sexual and medical, overt criminal enterprise on my street. They all, and people with fire departments, their family members, they all run into high life progressions where people have to use their mouths because they have violence involved. And I want a response for the principal child abuser's confessions and for all the fake things they did. With the WFSB has roles with that when I was in fourth grade too. And then when I was in fifth grade, when I was in fourth grade, fifth grade, and third grade, and then sixth grade, increasingly there are people that were putting fake things in databases from other classrooms. Were also recorded as uses of the words like class. You see how people that were the suburbs were designed for torture, extortion, and slavery before America's founders were born. The suburbs. They knew that people were going to be fakes with words like class because you came through their campuses. Dear God, get on paper with them. Apologize to the Judge Napolitano, Police Chief Cintron. Get on paper, you coward punk. Let's go.